Welcome to another battle report, folks. This is going to be a sort of a Bagration game, in as much as we're going to be using Soviet Bagration against German DD German. We were hoping at this point, like many others, to be able to use the German Bagration books, but due to the world situation, COVID, etc., you may have heard that's been delayed now to the end of March, which is quite far off, so we're going to have to review, me and Brian are going to have to review our plans for what we're going to do in the meantime. So we're just very quickly going to put a game together with a kind of cobbled together group of Germans. Stuff that most of it I've recently just finished, like the Tigers, the Fallschirmjägers and the Nebs. I'm going to put it up against what I will be using in the main campaign that we do, which is this Heavy Assault Gun Company. Now, when we play the main campaign, we're going to be using the campaign that is in Soviet Bagration. There may be something that we can use that's in the German book, I don't know yet, but certainly this has got a linked campaign and it's got river crossing missions, so I can use my river, use my bridges, and it'll be a different kind of game for us as well, so that'll be quite interesting. This though, we're just to pit these heavies up against these heavies, we're just going to have a game of dust up, see what happens. Now, but I do know that these guys can smash these guys to bits, but likewise, if they survive long enough and manage to hit them, they can smash those guys to bits, it's certainly those guys, so it could be an interesting kind of game. So let's go through the list. We'll start with the Germans. So we've got 2 platoons of 2 Tigers and a single Tiger in the company command. Then we have got a platoon of 3 Panzer IVs, a short platoon of 7 Fallschirmjägers and a battery of 3 Nebelwerfers. So that's the main formation, and the rest of it's support. You know, so it's quite heavy in support, but that represents 60% of the points. So it's you could get more Tigers, but you would certainly miss infantry and other tanks and such likes. They can hit hard, but for instance, another Tiger would be equivalent to maybe 2 of them, and that's 4 shots compared to 2 shots. You've got to sort of balance these things out. These can be in one place that these can't be. The more platoons on the table, the more area of the table you can cover, and so on and so on. So it can be tricky, but that's like the thoughts behind Brian's list choice there. Now, I'm using Heavy Assault Gun Company, so this here is my formation. Company HQ is an IS-2, then a platoon of 5 ISU 122s, a platoon of 4 ISU 152s. I could have gone for 2 platoons of 3 and 1 platoon of 3 here. I've got more platoons, potentially also more templates for bombardments, because these guys can fire bombardments, but I'm just drawn to the bigger platoons, to be honest. I think they'll be more durable, but we shall see. Now, that's the main formation, and they're supported by 7 OT-34s. These will probably be more relevant to the linked campaign, where the Soviets are going to be doing all the attacking, the Germans will be defending. But these are a good alternative in terms of points to ordinary T-34s. They're not so good in assault, probably not going to remount as well, but they can do everything else pretty much a T-34 can do, and they do flaming too, so we'll see how they go. A little scout platoon, because these guys are not large in numbers, so in the link campaign I want to be using them to close in on ambush terrain, and also just adding to the mob that these guys are going to be running around whilst maybe they're drawing all the attention. These guys can be getting in and about things. Hammer cars can maybe do that, but scouts for me are scouts. You shouldn't expect too much from them. Use them for what they're designed to be and minimise your points expenditure. Don't go for, I could have gone for 5 for instance, but there's no need, there's no point. Now they just have to do a specific job for a certain period of the game, and then after that, well, they're just going to become bullet magnets for a longer period of time because they're so easy to kill. And then we've got a hero motor rifle platoon. So these guys are quite good, and they hit on a 2+ in assault. I've used them effectively in mid-war, so I think they'll be a good infantry support. Decent sized platoon as well. So that's support. That's the main formation. I can't quite remember the point split, but it's probably something very similar to the Germans. So we'll go to deployment. I'll refresh you on the mission as well, just for anyone who's not familiar with Dust Up, and then we'll get on with turn 1 after that. So a quick reminder of Dust Up, so you can see it's a meeting engagement, so there's not going to be any pre-arranged in artillery. The player in the first turn counts as moving for rate of fire, no planes, no bombardments, those kind of things. Delayed reserves for both players. Brian rolled to be the attacker, and he chose that quarter to attack from. Reserves will therefore coming over there, so I'm over there, my reserves coming in over here, but we'll go through that once we cover deployment. So in this game, you've just got to hold an objective that's in your opponent's objective area. So that means the middle of the table is a bit of a no man's land. And this table, that's quite good because it's just full of craters, right? But it can be a tricky game. The objectives go live straight away, but because both sides have to defend an attack, it's quite often the fact that nothing happens very quick. So the placement of objectives, I've placed one here, and Brian placed one there. My initial thoughts were that would be a good place to attack with my infantry through here. But as you'll see, deployment, Brian's just filled that top to bottom with German Paras. And then Brian's placed his here, and I placed mine there. And now these are right on the very front edge of the deployment zones, by the way, folks. So you can lose this game pretty quick. If your opponent moves up to within 4, then the following turn assaults you, and you fall back. Because you're not able to deploy in front of the objective, you fall back away from the objective and typically lose the game. So it's tricky because it's right on the edge of the deployment zone. So my deployment. First of all, off table I have got 4 ISU 152s and the Flame T-34s, the OT-34s. On table I've got my infantry here. I'm kind of in 2 minds at the moment. Try to cover 2 objectives. That my cars are hiding, and then my ISU 122s are in position to move through here, though it's going to be really tricky getting through there because these guys are not very good with cross checks, and I can only see one clear route through, but it might be a good firing position. Dominate the centre of their table and maybe support my reserves, which will be coming on here, remember. So German deployment, platoon of Tigers, company command, platoon of Fallschirmjäger, as we mentioned before. There's one of them underneath. Now that, I can't really see him. He's underneath. That could be tricky for Brian, because if I get an assault in with tanks, I can't assault any of these guys, but if I get an assault in and he fails a motivation and they might have to run away, which is the only way my tanks will get guys out of there unless they're flamers. These guys are in an exposed position. Because there's no observer on this list, they really have to try and get line of sight. And this table is so crowded, my juicy stuff's all going to be over here. Brian's just plonked them straight down and hoped for a bit of luck. The company command can spot for them, but maybe early in the game when I'm hiding to a degree, he won't be wanting to shoot me. But otherwise, that's going to be a busy tank, and he won't be calling in artillery, I would imagine. And then in reserve, he's got 2 Tigers and 3 Panzer IVs. So we'll be rolling off to see who goes first, and on to turn 1. So, as is quite often the case in this game, not a lot happened in the first turn, especially because the first player cannot use artillery. Otherwise those nebs would have been able to try and range in over here. The company command, Brian did a blitz, and then we realised there's no point because he's going to be his moving rate of 5, whatever happens in the first turn. So he managed to get a bead on these with his exceptional range as well. Got a 6, but then I rolled a 4, which is enough at range to put my armour to 10, which is just a potential bail, and then Brian rolled a 1 for his firepower. So that was it. Brian's other tigers stayed still, and the Fallschirmjägers are definitely staying still. And no reserves this turn, by the way, folks. So over to me for my turn 1. We'll see if it's exciting in any way. Soviet turn 1. I put the infantry behind the houses for fear of the nebs, but I've now put my infantry in the houses, so I don't know if I know what I'm doing, but it's a better position to defend that objective at least. The ISU 122's moved up, but only 2 could get in range of the tiger. The armour cars are moving around the side of the church. There's just too many things in the way here. And the company command is moved up in contact with that hedge. It's quite a tall hedge, but you can now see over it because it's in contact with it, but he had to dash to get there. So that was it, folks. Nothing else. Oh, sorry, shooting. The 2 shots they fired needed 7s, so they didn't manage to hit. They could be in trouble when that tiger decides to shoot back. So over to Brian for his turn 2. German turn 2. 1 tiger moved up. 1 tiger stayed still. The nebs were in a position to bombard. These guys are just keeping their heads down, defending that objective. And then in shooting, the nebs ranged in first attempt on this house here. Hit quite a few bases in this house, but they all saved. Hit 3 in that house, 1 failed, passed to firepower, so 1 infantry dead. Just missed this armoured car. And then in shooting, this guy here managed to get 1 shot only, but I missed. Company command managed 2 hits, but I got a 5 from a save. So there's only a 50-50 chance of knocking one of these guys out at long range, even with a tiger, so that's not too bad, you know, in terms of odds. So, not the most successful turn of shooting, but the nebs are in position to bring the pain on my infantry, and the tigers, likewise, are in the position now to bring the pain to my ISUs. So, over to me for my turn 2. Soviet turn 2, the infantry in the building's unpinned. Now, I just discovered, much to my pleasure, that these big heavy assault guns have got a 3+ cross. I thought they'd be like German assault guns and would struggle. So it's not been so much of a hassle putting them through here. I managed to get some over the that cross check. You can see one's headed through that gap. The armoured cars are still trying to feel their way through all these tanks. They went all the way back round again to go this way, and just lost, to be honest, trying to get them through. So in terms of shooting, only these 2 guys were able to shoot. They got a hit on a 6. Anti-tank 14 against front armour 9, going up to 10 for range, and Brian rolled a 3. And these guys are 2 up firepower, so 1 dead tiger. If they hit, they can do a lot of damage. That's the thing. They can possibly take a lot of damage, or they could have already rolled lots of really poor saves and had themselves destroyed. But we'll see how it goes. That's just 1 tiger. There's plenty more tigers where that came from. So over to Brian for his turn 3, and he can start rolling for reserves. German turn 3, no reserves. 1 tiger stayed still, 1 tiger moved up. The tiger that stayed still fired through the gap, and these 2, the one that moved up, fired at him. And this is the thing I was trying to talk about before, having like more tigers or more medium tanks. Medium tanks might not be very good against these guys, but that was just 3 dice and they all missed. And you don't get a lot of dice when you've not got a lot of tanks. So when you do have a few tanks, you have to hit. The Nebs managed quite a lot of hits, but I made all my double saves. Apart from one, sorry, and Brian failed the firepower. They pinned again, but not a very successful turn for Brian there. So over to me for my turn 3 to see if any reserves arrive. Soviet turn 3, no reserves. The guys didn't unpin. And then movement here has just been an absolute nightmare. I couldn't really move forward and keep myself out of the line of fire of those tigers over there, plus what's likely to be coming on from reserve. So what I did was, he stayed still, the company command moved up a bit. He moved back, and he moved back. He had to dash to get to that point. Now my cars are continuing their little windy journey. We'll see where they end up. In terms of shooting then, 2 stationary ISUs, one fired at these guys, one at the Nebs. They both missed. Over here, one ISU fired at a penalty because it's now out of command, and missed, but the IS-2 managed to get a hit, rolled a 6, and they're brutal. So Brian had to roll 2 saves, failed 1, passed the 2 at firepower, so it was a dead neb, so that's a good result for me. So I'm not really making a lot of progress through all this, but I am getting somewhere. But now Brian has got 2 dice for reserves, and we'll see if he can bring on any tigers on that half of the table, and then it could be a different story for him. Brian's turn 4, he got 2 reserves. So, platoon of tigers coming down the road there, and platoon of Panzer IVs coming around there for a bit of a pincer, and another part of the pincer. These tigers dashed into cover here. He's worried about my reserves coming on here, moving out across the open against these guys. So he's just decided, put them there, they've got plenty of range. Then in shooting, the Nebs, they had to re-roll hits, but they only got 1 hit out of all the bases that are in there. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases in there that he rolled a 1 or a 6 of them or a 1 or a 2. The one he did hit though, managed to save. So didn't kill anything with the Nebs. But more importantly, only got 1 hit from these 2. He kept himself at long range because these guys have only got a range of 28. If he'd moved forward, could potentially have brought more counter fire, and I rolled a 5 for my save again. So at range that just bounced off. So nothing there. I'll be able to get some shots back. But over to my turn now, and I've got 2 dice for reserves. Soviet turn 4. The infantry unpinned. I got reserves. I brought them in here so they can start reducing that objective without any worry of direct fire. Then my cars moved up to machine gun the Nebs. There was a couple of moves, not much at all, with these guys, to get everybody getting shots on enemy tanks. 2 ISUs and an SU-122 were able to see the tigers. 1 could see a Panzer IV, and 2 could see tigers over there, and everything missed. Absolutely everything missed. So Brian's in a good position now to get some revenge for his dead tiger commander. German turn 5. So the Panzer IVs have moved up. Brian's wanting to get stuck in about me. Tigers did a wee blitz move to get into short range. These stayed still. Nebs obviously staying still. Brian kept these guys going to ground. He started shooting with this Panzer IV and managed to get him inside and kill him. This one got a hit but did nothing against him. Then the Tigers fired here and here, that's the ones on the road, and they managed to kill one and bail the company commander. These 2 over here got 2 hits, but once again they survived. 2 saves. The artillery though was more successful this turn, killing a base in each of the buildings, so that's 3 bases gone from that platoon. So much more effective from Brian that turn. I'll have to see if I can get him back in. My last reserve will automatically arrive. Soviet turn 5, my last reserves arrived, and I dashed them up to here, lots of cross checks, get them out of line of sight of the Tigers. Then my cars moved up a bit, everything else stayed put. These guys tried to range in on the tower and didn't range in. He got back in. He fired with support from another 1-2 ISUs. He missed at short range, they missed at long range, but only just. But this guy got a hit, whereas him there, he got a hit. Over there, Brian rolled a 1 for his save, I rolled a 1 for my firepower. The armoured cars hammered the nebs, didn't quite pin them, but Brian also made all 4 saves. So not a very effective turn for me. I reckon I'll have a lot less heavies alive next turn. Let's see what happens. German turn 6. The only thing that moved was the Panzer IVs. 2 of them were able to get flank shots on the company command and bail them out. Over here, the bailed out one got back in, and they managed to get just a couple of bails on these guys. They joined in, they ignored the company command. Brian thought, let's try and finish this platoon off. But it was a bucket load of good saves. There was only 1 bail in the whole thing, and it was a double bail, but it passed the motivation. So 3 tanks bailed out that turn, but none destroyed. The Nebs continue the good work and killed another base of infantry. So it could have gone better for Brian there. We'll see if I can get back in. Soviet turn 6, everybody remounted, which was very useful. In terms of movement, the flamers all moved around. OT-34s, these guys, because they were now too close for a bombardment, just moved up. These guys all stayed still, they had targets. The armoured cars moved up in an assault position. And then in terms of shooting, he managed to get hits, but the Tigers saved. But then these guys, 3 of them managed to get 1 single hit, and 1 failed, 1 dead Tiger. Over here, the flamers, because they're on the move, these guys have gone to ground in 7s, they never rolled above a 5, so no hits. But these guys managed to get 2, even with a difficult cross check of 5+, got 2 in the assault, managed to kill 1 base, the other broke off, failed its cross check, so 2 dead nebs, and they consolidated just round this side of the wood to put some pressure on this objective. So not a bad turn for me, that turn. We'll see if Brian can try and crack the armour on these tough little ducklings. German turn 7, I think. So Brian just pretty much stayed put. These guys are going to rely on being going to ground. Well, he stayed. I fired and hit him in the front, 1 hit, and he saved. These guys missed every single shot. But then these guys managed to get 1 hit on this that saved, but 3 hits on him, 2 which failed, boom, dead company command, and he's too far away to jump over into any one of these. So it's a bit of progress at least from Brian that turn. It's starting to whittle me down. I've now just got 3 heavies left over here anyway. Still got 4 heavies over here. But he's making some progress, and it's the Panzer IVs, guys. They've killed 2 of the 3 heavies. It's a bit nuts, but that's quite often the way it goes. Soviet turn 7, so the heavies stayed still. The flamethrowers tried to get a couple more in, but couldn't because of cross checks. And these guys moved up. They managed a successful blitz. The armoured cars stayed put. And then in terms of shooting, these guys fired, managed to get 1 hit on that faraway Tiger. And you can see what happened. I rolled a 1 for the firepower, only needed a 2. Had I got it, then that would have been the end of the company. He's still checking every turn, but that would have just ended it. Over here, they got 1 hit out of 15 dice, needing a 6, which he saved. These guys also moved up, fired off here, but got no hits. So I've got a few more guns on his tigers now, but really comes down to what happens over there. So we'll go over to Brian for his turn 8. Heroic guy remounted, stayed in the field, then rolled 2 ones to hit. However, these guys had a bit more luck. They managed to get a hit and kill one. Panzer IVs, 1 stayed put, 2 moved up, so they could all get line of sight. But a few hits, but no damaging. Failed saves there at all. Brian's really kind of holding on by the skin of his teeth, to be honest. Like, it just depends on whether or not he runs away. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, this is kind of heading for a draw. I'm not really doing anything against him, but we'll see what happens in my turn. Right, Soviet turn, whatever. A couple of T-34s moved around to get flames, shots in, everything else stayed put because I had targets. I've said Brian's on shaky ground, but so am I. If I lose this platoon, that's my formation gone. So the Flamers, they must have been listening to me moaning because they killed 3 bases that turn. That's down to 4 bases in there now. These guys fired and missed, terrible shooting, and these 2 fired and missed, terrible shooting. Brian could maybe win it next turn if he destroys those 2 tanks. Hero Panzer Commanders staying in the field. And then in shooting, he concentrated everything on these guys. 1 Panzer IV moved to get a side shot, those 2 stayed put. They got 4 hits between them, including 1 on the side. I didn't roll below 5. He got hit, they got 2 hits. And once again, it was just 5s. In fact, it was just 5s, 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 5s. So it was just shots bouncing off these guys, left, right, and centre. So try and move it on quick. I'll have another turn and see where we end up. So in that turn, I just kept everything still and fired. These guys got 5 hits again on the Fallschirmjäger, but only killed 1. These guys fired, never got above a 4, so no hits. But these guys firing down the road at the Tiger managed to get 2 6s. And Brian got a fail and a potential bail. The fail was enough to kill him. So that's the end of the German company, basically, because they've only got 1 platoon left on the table. Though I'll have to check. So I'm thinking about it, motivation. Is it the number of platoons you've got, or the number of platoons that are in good spirits? Maybe help me in the comments, folks, and see what we should be measuring here. Is it number of platoons or number of platoons in good spirits? I'm not sure. And anyway, in this event, it's enough for the Soviets just to sneak a win. We got a bit too caught up in what was going on there, me and Brian. That Tiger, we keep forgetting, he's got a 40-inch range. He should have just moved, like come around here, still getting shots on target and not getting anything in retaliation. Same with these guys, they could be pulling back. So we're kind of screwed up there. So probably best not to take this as too much of a measure of Tigers versus Heavies, because we didn't manoeuvre them the way we should have. But one thing worth noting is these guys can, with a little bit of luck, can take a hell of a pounding. And who's to say if they pull back, these guys may have ignored them, concentrated on this, and perhaps would have taken that objective. There's always swings and roundabouts, but the Tigers could have kept themselves in the game longer. Remember, you got a 40-inch range, guys. This table was a bit restricted, but there was still enough avenues of fire, and my movement was certainly restricted that the Tigers could have pulled back, but we just kind of got tunnel vision and just started rolling dice like mad at each other. But there you go. Heavies versus Heavies. Poor old Tigers took a bit of a beating. These guys, perhaps down to a bit of better luck, managed to just hold the field. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Help us build the channel and all that stuff, but it really does help. And we'll see you on the next one, which will be more late war Eastern Front action.